Dan Campbell and the Lions, an 8-point underdog on the road at Denver. Jared Goff and several others have missed practice with flu-like symptoms this week. So we'll get a chance to see what the Lions look like. This is a terrible matchup for the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, because if you just look at pressure, right? I mean, Vic Fangio is going to bring the house almost every play. What does Jared Goff not like? Pressure.
It is not like it.
It's just
not his friend.
It's not a good matchup overall.
And they're going to Denver. You get you played in Denver.
Oh, I was waiting for this. So the Mile High, which it's no longer Mile High Stadium, but Mads, it will always be Mile High Stadium.
It's Mile High Plaza, though.
Oh, there you go. It has a sexy name to it. What I learned about going out there is you want to exhaust yourself in the warm-ups. Because usually guys go out there, they kind of, they chill. You see Odell in the warm up, and he's doing the one-hand catches and talking to fans, and he's dancing. That's typically everybody for the most part. You have to exhaust yourself in the warm up, and the reason why I say that is you got to get to your second win. Typically, what happens when you go out there, you can't breathe if you're first time out there. I trained in Denver for the Combine. I trained at Velocity, which is in Highlands Ranch. Shout out to Derek Touche. Shout out to Lamont Smith, my agent at the time. Like, I couldn't breathe for the first week of working out. Like, you get the nosebleeds because it's thin. There's no moisture in the air. Like, it took me a while to be able to catch my wind in practice. That's why when I came back in April and I had my pro day, it was easy. Like, I was able to run for days because I had been out there for 4 months. But you take a long time to do it. That's why if you work out hard, exhaust yourselves in warm-up, by the time you're exhausted in warm-ups, you go into the locker room, you have that 20, 30 minutes before the game starts. By the time the game starts or you get halfway through that first quarter, you're already on your second win. So you're already able to compete now at the highest level that you'll be able to compete at. That's my secret to the Detroit Lions. Got to go out there and exhaust yourselves in the warm-up so that you have your second win by the time game starts. But if you don't, it's going to be ugly. And, man, the Broncos are pissed. They're coming off that lost 20-play drive, but they didn't do what Michigan State did in the Big Ten Championship. They didn't finish with a touchdown. So they're mad at that. They've been in some games. They've lost some games. They just held the Kansas City Chiefs to no touchdown.
Yeah.
They kept Mahomes out the end zone. So don't sleep on this Broncos team. They're very inconsistent, and you are catching them at a time where they're pissed.
And this is the actual 17th game that they added on to the Lions schedule. Just happens to be in week number 14 or 13, whatever week we're in now. This was the last game that was slapped onto the Lions schedule.
Look at that.
Yep, they wouldn't have played the Broncos had it been a 16-game schedule.
Well, I think after this one, might wish they didn't play the Broncos.
Hey, next year, Lions get the home game.
Yeah, look at that.
I mean, hell, we're walking into Denver. This is a damn good opponent. I mean, and they're in the playoff hunt, and they know that, for them, basically, it is a playoff game. They can't lose anymore is the way they're looking at it. And so this isn't, this isn't some slouch we're playing. This is a damn good team.
That's Dan Campbell talking about heading out to Denver to play the Broncos. He mentioned it. The Broncos are in the thick of the playoff hunt. They are 6-6 out west, so they are right in the middle of things and absolutely need to have a win on Sunday, 4:05 kickoff against the Detroit Lions.
Started off 4-4, but here we are. The big thing about the Denver Broncos is what you saw out of Teddy Bridgewater his whole career. His hallmark, his calling card, he didn't turn the ball over. He was a guy that he would have pedestrian stats, but he would move the chains. He wouldn't turn the ball over. And you can win a lot of ball games when you do that. Even the Pro Bowl year that he had with the Minnesota Vikings before the tragic injury not tragic, but the horrendous injury that he had, his stats were still 3,200 yards, 26 touchdowns. They weren't anything to write home about, but he didn't turn the ball over. This season, you're seeing more and more interceptions out of him. Like, he's throwing the ball to the other team. He's fumbling the ball. He's giving the other team, giving the opposition more opportunities to do things. Now, with that being said, that defense is playing better for the Broncos. Like, that's what you're seeing out of them. They gave up 3 weeks ago 30 points to the Eagles. I know that. But Patrick Surtain, the Patrick Surtain Jr., I played against his father, hell of a DB, just like his son, who might be better. Man, they take the ball from the opposition. They get in the wide receivers' faces. They don't give you chances. And guys like Josh Reynolds and things of that nature. When you play man-to-man against a team that wants to get rid of the ball quick, which the Detroit Lions have tried to do, it spells havoc and it wreaks havoc. So with the Denver Broncos, man, they're physical up front as well. You got to go out there and match the physicality. What we saw to Derek Barnes and those guys on the 2-point conversions and those last couple drives, that's how they got to play when they go out to Denver.
By the way, Derek Barnes joins us here on the Bottom Line tomorrow. The Lions rookie linebacker out of Purdue. So we're looking forward to that. This Bronco team was undefeated in preseason. Then they won their first 3 games.
3 games.
They beat the Giants, Jags, and Jets.
Right.
Then they lost 4 in a row, and then win, and then win, loss, win.
Streaking.
They're a streaky team. They're not great. You know what? They're not great. I think they were in the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes at one point as well. That's a team that's been looking for a quarterback since John Elway basically left there. So it's an up and down team, but they're going out on the road. It's not a place where the Lions would win, right? This is not a typical Lion win game.
But if you look at their last 2 wins, they beat the Washington football team, who on Sunday have a chance to take out the Dallas Cowboys and really put the pressure on the Cowboys. And they also beat the team.
They creamed them.
Who went to Cincinnati with the weather from the West Coast and got the win in Justin Herbert and the the Los Angeles Chargers. So with that being said, you see that they can compete with the big boys. They can make it happen with the big boys. So that's something as a Lions you have to be afraid of and you have to be nervous of. Those are 2 really good wins at this time of year, considering how both those teams are playing.
Think about the Cowboy game. They were up 30-0
Yeah.
against the Dallas Cowboys, and they won that game 30-16.
Look, they're a pretty decent football team, and don't forget about the fact that Matt Campbell. Sorry, Iowa State.
Campbell?
Dan
There you
Campbell. Dan Campbell. His time overlapped in New Orleans with Teddy Bridgewater.
Sure
so
did.
maybe there's some sort of advantage there where the quarterback's tendencies and all that stuff. I just personally don't like the matchup with Jared Goff against Vic Fangio. Because Vic Fangio is going to throw the kitchen sink at him. And Jared Goff, he's got them happy feet.
But he's NFC Player of the Week.
Yes, he is. And I'm not here to knock Jared Goff. It's a bad matchup for them.
It is a bad matchup, but at the same time, coming off the heels of that game, now let's not put too much on the win against Minnesota Vikings. Let's not put too much on the game that he had. But what you did see in that game, you saw Amon-Ra St. Brown. You saw him be able to make some plays. You saw him be able to get the ball in his hands, extend some drives. That works. Because if you're going to have guys coming at you fast, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of the ball. You got to be able to get the ball in your playmaker's hands, as well as Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver that he knew from the Los Angeles Rams, they have a chemistry. It seems like he's helping out these young guys as well. So you mix that in there, and then Jamal Williams was able to run the ball up the middle. They were able to kind of lean on that defensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. So these are things that spell well for the Detroit Lions going out there at this time of year.
Broncos have Melvin Gordon, who's been pretty good this year, but they have Javonte Williams, who's really starting to take more of a leadership role in the backfield. They asked Melvin Gordon, hey, what about next year? Because he's hearing all this rumbling. The fans, they want to see Javonte Williams. So he's like, hey, man, I want to be here. The fans don't want me here, but I want to be here. So I look for Melvin Gordon to have a big game.
And Dan Campbell talked about those Denver running backs as well because, if there's one thing about Denver Broncos football over the last 20, 25 years that you can say is, they just plug running backs in.
Yeah. They
have their system, and that's what they are. Here's Dan Campbell talking about defending those guys.
Yeah, it is challenging, and I feel like everybody's got backs now, But these guys, yes, they can hurt you, and they're dynamic, and they do a great job up front too. Just schematically, there's a lot of things they do where they keep you guessing. They'll attack you with the same look, formationally, motion, all those things, and all of a sudden it goes the other way, and so. There's enough mixture into what they do to where, man, if we're not sound up front. And with our backers, they can hit you and hurt you. And then once they get that, especially with Teddy, I got a lot of respect for Teddy Bridgewater because I think he's a winner in this league. And man, he'll hurt you in play action pass. He's going to be smart with the football. They can even what happened last week. Now they can possess the ball, and we got our hands full defensively.
And the running game has been a strong suit for the Denver Broncos, but it matches up well against the Detroit Lions. If you think about what the Lions have been and what they haven't allowed, with the exception of Najee Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Nick Chubb, who is the second best running back when somebody else is healthy, that being Derrick Henry, they haven't allowed a lot of rushing yards this year. Those only 2 running backs that have gone over 100 yards. They're 10-1, 12-game sample size of not being able, of not allowing running backs to rush on them. That spells well for the Lions. So if you're a guy if you're a Teddy Bridgewater guy that they don't use to pass the ball a lot, you're going to have to make some plays in the passing games, because Derek Barnes and Aaron Glenn in that defense of the Detroit Lions, that's one thing they don't give up. They don't give up the rushing yards.
Aaron Glenn's all over this game. He's telling his defense, we got to hold them to under 20 again.
This is a circle-a-day game for the Detroit Lions, and not to cut you off, Maz, this is a huge win. Regardless of what you say about the inconsistencies, the Broncos start off 3-0. The Broncos have beat some good teams. The Broncos are a staple. They're a big name. They're a big-name team. They're a good franchise. This is a long road trip all the way out to Denver. To get a win in Denver in December and be 2-0, this would be a hell of a win for the Detroit Lions, especially Aaron Glenn.
I just don't know how they're going to score points.
Right.
You look at this Denver defense and what they did to Patrick Mahomes last week. I think Kansas City scored 29 points, but 7 of them were on a pick six, defensive touchdown. So they basically went on the road and held Patrick Mahomes and that high-flying Kansas City Chiefs offense to 22 points, something like that. And oh, by the way, there was a muffed punt in that game where Kansas City got a short field and scored a touchdown. So they really did a number against Patrick Mahomes in that Kansas City Chiefs offense. I don't know where the Lions' offense is going to come from in this one.